Hi there guys, and welcome back to New Nassau. My name is Ross, and today we're going to be dealing with wild fermentation. As I start to grow more and more food out here, preserving it is going to be a challenge, and I wanted to experiment with being able to preserve foods without electricity. So that's what we're going to be doing today. This food is not grown on New Nassau, but it is stuff like what I want to grow out here. So I did buy all of this from the supermarket, but hopefully one day I'll be doing this recipe all with foods grown here on the property. So we're going to be making a sort of sauerkraut or kimchi or fermented vegetable medley here. So we've got cabbage for nutrients, sweet potatoes for calories, and then onions and garlic also for nutrients and a little bit of flavoring. So cabbage is where we start. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up all of this cabbage. I am going to peel the first few leaves off because once the liquid in the brine is formed, I want to keep all of the finely chopped cabbage below the surface of the water. So I'm going to peel off a couple leaves of cabbage that will be able to sit on top, and then I'll weight it down. So the leaves of cabbage will act something like a little net or something to keep all the contents down there. So I'm going to take a few minutes and go ahead and prep our cabbage. Okay, now that we've got all of our cabbage chopped and in the bucket, we're going to add a little bit of salt and give it a nice massage. So as you can see here, there's no water in the bucket. This is just the chopped cabbage. And I'm going to add the salt. I don't have a measuring cup, so we're going to kind of eyeball this. It's supposed to be about 3 tablespoons for every 5 pounds of cabbage. And I'm thinking that this is probably about 6 or 7 pounds. So we'll just have to do our best with guessing the ratio. It's probably a little more than 3. We'll do 4 and see what happens. And now we're just going to start giving this a really nice, good massage. And the salt is going to pull all the liquid out of the cabbage, which is going to form the brine, which will start the fermentation process. And the salt is also going to inhibit enzymes and certain bacteria from eating it. So that'll keep the cabbage from getting mushy, keep the cabbage from rotting, and keep that nice good crunch. Give it good flavor. This is going to take a little bit, so we'll speed up the process for you guys while we give the cabbage a massage. Well, I dropped my phone, and that seems like a really good time to take a break because it's really hard work massaging cabbage. There's definitely liquid in here, which is awesome. You can see that it's dripping, and that's great. Again, I haven't added any water to it, and I think just letting it sit, now that it's well massaged, the salt should still do its thing. So while that sits, and hopefully pulls more moisture out of the cabbage and makes more brine, I'm going to go ahead and prep our sweet potatoes, and we'll come back to that in a minute. That's a lot of sweet potato. I think we might check on our cabbage and see what the deal is. There's definitely more liquid in here. I think I'll go back to massaging this a little bit and then go from there. We'll see. All right, a little update. This is more labor intensive than I thought, but Again, no added water, just salt and massaging. I did add a little bit more salt, but I think there's supposed to be even more brine than this, so I'm going to keep on massaging and see what happens. All right, after a lot of massaging and I added more salt, there is a significant amount of liquid in my bucket. When I press down, the liquid can cover my whole hand, which I think would be fine, and I wouldn't have to add water if I wasn't adding a bunch of other vegetables. Part of making sauerkraut, just cabbage and salt, is really about adding the beneficial bacteria and preserving the cabbage, and it's sort of more of a topping rather than a meal or even a side dish. And what I'm trying to do is add calories to this as well. So I've made kimchi before in the past, and I remember having to add water and it was okay. And so I think with adding more calorie dense stuff, I'm just going to have to add some more water to this. So I'm going to add, this was 2 sweet potatoes. I'm going to dump this in and then see if I want to add more or not. This has been a very labor intensive process. I don't want to discourage anybody from doing it. I'm also making a giant bucket of this and not like a couple mason jars full. I imagine if you were only going to make a couple mason jars at a time, this might be more of an easier project and stuff. But if you're making a bunch, I recommend finding some good tunes and taking your time. And don't be afraid to add more salt if you don't feel like you're getting enough liquid out of it. I think part of my first problem was that I didn't have enough salt in my mixture. I did some more reading in between shots and watched a video. And yeah, it looks like adding more salt can help. This looks like a really attractive mix as far as like the colors of orange and purple and green. It looks pretty good. But again, I'm really trying to make this a nice calorie dense food here. So I think I'm going to do one more sweet potato and then go from there. So time to peel away. Let's take a look. I think that's good. Do some garlic. Call it a day. All right, one last check here. Let's see what all this looks like. So here you guys go. As you can see, there's lots of water in there, lots of brine. And I haven't added any yet. This is all from just massaging the cabbage. So we've got our cabbage, our sweet potato, our garlic, and our onion in there. And you know what? I think that's good. I'm going to go ahead and start mashing it down. Put a weight on top, fill it with water, and see how it goes. So I'm going to press all this down as much as it'll go. And I can already tell that letting it sit for a little bit also pulls more water out. So maybe letting the cabbage rest a little bit will do it also, because I've added 3 sweet potatoes, an onion. The garlic is negligible as far as mass goes. But this is good. All of it is, the water's kind of like sitting right on top as I'm pushing it down. So maybe I won't add any more water to this and let it go as originally planned. It's only like this deep. Yeah, like right there. I thought I was gonna have like 5 gallons of kimchi. Still a lot, still a huge amount of food. So remember from the beginning, I kept these lettuce leaves intact because I'm going to use them to kind of weigh, or not weigh, but keep all the shredded stuff down. Looks like I should have kept maybe one more. Oh no, that's pretty good. There we go. And then I'm going to use this plate to sit on top and press down on it. I originally had it like you would eat off of it, but then the water flows on top and sits there, and it's not doing any good. So I'm going to turn it upside down, drop the plate in that way. That's way better. All the stuff's sitting on top there. I don't want my plate to get stuck in my bucket though. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of water just because if everything isn't fully submerged, then it can get exposed to bacteria in the air and stuff and rot. So I do want everything completely submerged. So I am going to add a little bit of water. About an inch and a half, maybe 2, above the water level. And I guess should have thought of this, making sure everything's scraped off the side of my bucket and into the brine. Don't want anything hanging out on the sides and stuff. Okay. Looks good. Plate on top. We'll use that as a weight, just to keep the plate down, make sure it floats, or make sure it doesn't float, rather. Get the cheesecloth here. This will allow for ventilation, but it'll keep bugs and dirt and dust out. Set that right on top. Do a little thing with the rope here. Go. Make sure that's nice and tight over the lip there. Well, this is harder than I thought. Okay. Make sure we got plenty of that. Okay. So that's secure. So now we got our bucket of food waiting to ferment. 7 to 10 days. It should be ready. I'll be checking in every other day, just to make sure there's no stuff in there sitting on top, and to check flavor. Temperature has a big deal on it, and since this is still pretty warm, it might speed up the process. So I'll check in every day or couple days, depending on how easy it is to check it out. But in 7 to 10 days, this should be done and ready to eat. And I can jar it up and store it in a refrigerator to slow down the process and stuff. But we'll check in 7 to 10 days. All right. So here we are a few days later, and I'm going to taste my fermented foods. Pardon the wooden spoon. It's the only thing I have available right now. That's great. Definitely still needs more time. It's just salty, wet cabbage and sweet potatoes. So there's not really that signature fermented flavor to it yet, which just means it needs a few more days. But in the meantime, this is a great little snack. We'll try again in a couple days. Right, so here we are, 6 days after doing my whole thing, and it smells fermented. So let's have a taste. That's good. Cabbage, sweet potatoes, onions, garlic. Well, there you have it. Fermented foods in a bucket under the cabin. That's how you can preserve fresh vegetables. Really good healthy probiotics. Good for your gut. Good for your overall health. And I look forward to being able to make this with foods grown here one day. All right. Well, thanks guys for watching. That's how you ferment your own foods. Well, guys, here I am 20 days later. It's October 25th. I started this whole project on October 5th. And since I didn't get around to editing the video and I was hungry, I decided to eat more of my fermented cabbage, sweet potato, onion, and garlic. And it's just fantastic. It's crunchy. It's flavorful. It's nutritious. I mean, and this has been sitting in a bucket under my cabin for 20 days. There's no bugs. There's no mold. No animals have tried to get into it, and there's no power. It's just been sitting in the shade in a bucket under my cabin, and here it is, and it's amazing. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about it other than what a huge success. I am definitely able to preserve fruits and vegetables. So, fermented foods. Do it. Thank you guys for watching. I'm actually going to edit and post the video now, I promise. And, you know, like the YouTube channel, like the video, subscribe, go on Facebook and Instagram, New Nassau Food Forest. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that this was entertaining, and give it a go. Ferment some foods of your own. Let me know if you have any good recipes and stuff, because this is fantastic. I'm just going to have buckets of fermented foods under my cabin perpetually now. So, all right. I think that's it for today. Thank you guys very much. Namaste.